the game of power. Welcome back to You Achiever.
Understanding Machiavelli's wisdom. Winning by deception over force. NICCOLO Machiavelli, the renowned Italian Renaissance philosopher and political strategist, is often remembered for his pragmatic and sometimes ruthless views on power and leadership. One of his most striking quotes, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception," encapsulates a core principle of his philosophy, the strategic advantage of cunning over brute strength. At first glance, this statement may seem morally questionable, but when examined more deeply, it reveals a profound understanding of human nature, conflict, and the art of influence. Over the next 12 paragraphs, we will explore what Machiavelli truly meant, why deception can be more effective than force, and how this principle applies in politics, warfare, and even everyday life. 1. The essence of Machiavellian strategy. Machiavelli's statement emphasizes efficiency in achieving one's goals. Force, while direct, often comes with heavy costs, resistance, destruction, and long-term resentment. Deception, on the other hand, allows a leader or strategist to manipulate perceptions, control narratives, and achieve objectives without open confrontation. This doesn't necessarily mean outright lying. It can involve strategic misdirection, psychological manipulation, or exploiting an opponent's assumptions. The key idea is that if a goal can be accomplished without a costly battle, deception is the smarter path. 2. Why force is often a last resort. Using force requires resources, soldiers, weapons, time, and energy, and even in victory, the aftermath can be unstable. History shows that empires built solely on conquest, like Genghis Khan's or Napoleon's, often crumble quickly because suppressed populations eventually rebel. Machiavelli recognized that sustained power requires more than dominance. It requires control over minds, not just bodies. Deception allows a ruler to weaken enemies internally through espionage, propaganda, or diplomacy before any physical conflict is necessary. 3. The psychological power of deception. Human beings are influenced more by perception than reality. A skilled deceiver can shape how others see a situation, making them act against their own interests. For example, in warfare, a general might spread false intelligence to lure enemies into a trap, avoiding a direct and bloody battle. In politics, a leader may feign weakness to embolden rivals, only to outmaneuver them later. Machiavelli understood that the mind is the real battlefield, and deception is its most effective weapon. 4. Historical examples of deception. Over-force history is filled with examples where cunning triumphed over brute strength. The Trojan horse is the classic symbol of deception, defeating a stronger foe. In more recent times, during World War II, the Allies used elaborate ruses like Operation Mincemeat, where they planted false documents on a corpse to mislead Nazi forces to gain strategic advantages. These victories were achieved not through sheer force, but by outthinking the opponent, proving Machiavelli's point: the role of diplomacy and manipulation. Machiavelli was a strong advocate for diplomatic maneuvering. He believed that a ruler should be both a lion, strong, and a fox, cunning. Deception in diplomacy might involve making false promises, playing rival factions against each other, or pretending friendship until the right moment to strike. This approach minimizes risk. Whereas open war can lead to mutual destruction, a well-played deception can neutralize threats without widespread conflict. 6. The dangers of over-reliance on force. Machiavelli warns that leaders who default to force often create more enemies than they defeat. A ruler who crushes dissent violently may inspire fear, but also hatred and eventual rebellion. In contrast, a leader who uses deception to isolate opponents or turn public opinion can dismantle resistance without appearing tyrannical. The Roman Empire, for instance, often used political intrigue to control client states rather than constant military occupation. 7. Deception in modern politics and business. This principle extends beyond warfare into modern politics and corporate strategy. Politicians use media narratives, misinformation, and strategic alliances to weaken opponents without direct confrontation. In business, companies engage in misinformation campaigns, trade secrets, and market manipulation to outmaneuver competitors. Machiavelli's insight remains relevant. Those who master deception often rise to power more efficiently than those who rely on aggression alone. 8. The ethical dilemma of Machiavellian tactics. While effective, Machiavelli's advice raises moral questions. Is deception justified if it avoids bloodshed? Or does it erode trust and create a culture of deceit? Machiavelli himself argued that morality must sometimes be secondary to survival and success. A controversial but pragmatic stance. The debate continues today in discussions about espionage, propaganda, and political manipulation. 9. The limits of deception. Deception is not foolproof. If exposed, it can backfire spectacularly, destroying credibility and inciting greater resistance. Machiavelli knew this, which is why he advised that deception must be calculated and well-timed. A leader must know when to deceive and when to act openly, balancing cunning with strength. 12th conclusion, the timeless lesson. Machiavelli's quote is ultimately about efficiency and intelligence in power dynamics. Force has its place, but deception, when used wisely, can secure victory with far fewer consequences. Whether in war, politics, or everyday life, the ability to influence without direct conflict remains one of the most powerful tools a leader can possess. The lesson is clear. If you can win the game without firing a shot, why risk the battle?